Every 4 years, the world stops. 4 billion people, one tournament, the most watched sporting event in human history. And for over 2 decades, the men who controlled it were selling it. Not metaphorically, literally.
Associated with soccer, this is going back generations, not years, but perhaps decades, of potential corruption of FIFA.
Cash in envelopes, secret offshore accounts, wire transfers through shell companies in countries most people cannot find on a map. The FBI had been watching since 2011.
They were expected to uphold the rules that keep soccer honest and to protect the integrity of the game. Instead, they corrupted the business of worldwide soccer to serve their interests and to enrich themselves.
Building a case so large, it took 164 pages just to describe it. On May 27, 2015, at 6 a.m., Swiss police entered the most expensive hotel in Zurich. They arrested 7 of football's most powerful executives before breakfast, some of them in their pyjamas. 45 people would eventually be charged, $200 million in bribes, 24 years of corruption, 2 World Cups sold to the highest bidder. This is the story of how the beautiful game became the world's most profitable criminal enterprise, and how nobody stopped it for a quarter of a century. To understand how this happened, you first need to understand what FIFA actually was. FIFA, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, was founded in 1904 by 7 countries in a Paris meeting room. By 2015, it had 211 member associations, more members than the United Nations, which has only 193. Think about that. Football's governing body was bigger than the organization designed to represent every nation on Earth. That size gave FIFA something more valuable than trophies. It gave them leverage. Every country that wanted to host a World Cup needed FIFA's approval. Every broadcaster that wanted to air a World Cup needed FIFA's rights. Every sponsor that wanted access to 4 billion viewers needed FIFA's permission. FIFA did not just run football, it controlled the most valuable media property on the planet. And at the center of all of it, for 17 years, was one man, Sepp Blatter. Swiss, methodical, politically brilliant. A man who understood that in an organization of 211 member associations, the most powerful person was not the one with the best ideas. It was the one who controlled the most votes. Blatter became FIFA president in 1998. He would not leave until the FBI forced him out 17 years later. The corruption did not start with Blatter. It started long before him. FIFA's structure made it almost inevitable. FIFA generated billions from World Cup broadcasting rights and sponsorships. In 2014 alone, the Brazil World Cup generated $4.8 billion in revenue. That money flowed down to 6 regional confederations: Europe, South America, North America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. Each confederation had its own president, its own officials, its own budget. Almost no external oversight, almost no accountability. And when it came time to vote on where the World Cup would be hosted, those officials held all the power. 24 members of FIFA's executive committee cast the votes that decided which country hosted the tournament. 24 people, controlling a decision worth hundreds of billions of dollars in economic impact to the winning nation. It was, as U.S. prosecutors would later say, an invitation to corruption built into the architecture of the organization itself. The first documented bribe dates back to 1991. By the time the FBI moved in 2015, the corruption had spanned 2 generations of officials across 6 confederations and 24 years of World Cup decisions. South Africa 2010, Russia 2018, Qatar 2022, all of them touched by allegations that would eventually land in a 164-page U.S. Department of Justice criminal indictment. The case that broke FIFA open did not start with a whistleblower. It started with a tax return. In 2011, the IRS began investigating Chuck Blazer, an American who had risen to become General Secretary of CONCACAF, the confederation controlling North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Blazer was not subtle about his wealth. He maintained apartments in Trump Tower in New York, the Bahamas, Paris, London. He kept a separate apartment in Trump Tower, just for his cats. The IRS wanted to know where the money came from. When they found out, they handed the case to the FBI. What Blazer had been doing was simple and systematic. When countries bid to host World Cup qualifying tournaments, they paid bribes to CONCACAF officials in exchange for their votes. Blazer had been collecting his share since the 1990s. When the FBI confronted him in 2013, Blatter made a decision that would eventually bring down an entire organization. He agreed to cooperate. For 2 years, Chuck Blatter wore a wire to FIFA meetings. He recorded conversations. He documented transactions. He built the case from the inside while nobody around him suspected a thing. The FBI had enough evidence to move. The Borolac Hotel in Zurich cost $1,000 a night, minimum. It is where FIFA executives stayed when they came to FIFA headquarters for meetings. On the morning of May 27, 2015, Swiss police arrived at 6 a.m. They moved quietly through the corridors, knocked on doors, waited. 7 FIFA executives were arrested before they had eaten breakfast. The charges, compiled by the FBI, the IRS, and coordinated with law enforcement across 33 countries, were staggering. 47 counts, 164 pages, $150 million in documented bribes, spanning 24 years, wire fraud, racketeering, money laundering. The U.S. Attorney General called it rampant, systemic, and deep-rooted corruption that had turned FIFA into, in her words, a criminal enterprise. They had been building this case since 2011, coordinating with 33 countries, following money through shell companies, offshore accounts, and wire transfers across 4 continents. The scale was almost incomprehensible. $10 million paid to secure South Africa's 2010 World Cup bid. $5 million promised to Jack Warner for his vote in favor of Russia's 2018 bid. Payments totaling more than $100 million allegedly flowing to a single Russian sports official. And then there was Qatar, the country that averages 45 degrees Celsius in summer. The country smaller than Connecticut. The country with no football history, no football infrastructure, and no obvious reason to host the world's greatest sporting event, except one. It had $200 billion to spend. When FIFA announced in December 2010 that Qatar would host the 2022 World Cup, the football world reacted with genuine disbelief. Qatar had never qualified for a World Cup. Its domestic league was unknown outside the Gulf. Its summer temperatures made outdoor football genuinely dangerous. The decision made no football sense. What it made was financial sense. Qatar's bid committee had allegedly distributed millions of dollars to officials across multiple confederations. $800,000 to the Ivory Coast FA, $400,000 payments to 2 other voting federations. Millions more flowing through accounts across the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. The voting was held in December 2010. Qatar won on the second round. 3 days later, the Sunday Times published secret documents suggesting the entire vote had been bought. FIFA investigated itself, found no wrongdoing, and moved on. But the FBI did not move on. By 2020, U.S. prosecutors had formally named Qatar and Russia in court documents, alleging both countries had paid bribes to secure their World Cup hosting rights. Even Sepp Blatter, the man who had presided over the entire process, eventually admitted publicly that the choice of Qatar was a mistake. He said this after he had been banned from football for life. 4 days after the May 2015 arrests, Sepp Blatter won re-election as FIFA president. He received 133 votes. His opponent received 73. The officials who had not yet been arrested voted to keep him in power. 4 days later, Blatter resigned. He claimed he did not have the full support of the football world. What he had was a Swiss criminal investigation opening into a $2.1 million payment he had made to UEFA president Michel Platini. Both men were eventually banned from football for 8 years. The organization they had built, the most powerful body in sport, was now under the control of American prosecutors, Swiss investigators, and a new FIFA president who had promised reform.
Gianni Infantino is the new president of FIFA.
By the end of 2015, 16 more officials had been charged. The second raid on the Borolac Hotel happened in December. The same hotel. The same corridors, the same doors. The FBI came back for the ones they had missed the first time. In total, 45 people charged. More than 90 criminal counts. $200 million in documented corruption. Not one of them was Sepp Blatter. So what actually happened here? It comes down to 3 things. The first, power without oversight always corrupts. FIFA had 211 member associations, billions in revenue, and almost no external accountability. 24 people made decisions worth hundreds of billions of dollars with no independent scrutiny. That structure did not create corruption. It guaranteed it. The second, the money was always bigger than the sport. Every official who accepted a bribe understood something the fans never did. The World Cup was not about football. It was about television rights, sponsorship deals, construction contracts, and the economic transformation of host nations. The third, and this is the one that nobody wants to say out loud, it is still happening. The 45 people charged represent 2 decades of documented corruption. Nobody seriously believes that number represents the full picture. The 2026 World Cup goes to the United States, Canada, and Mexico. FIFA's revenue from that tournament is projected to exceed $11 billion. Gianni Infantino, the man who replaced Blatter, has moved FIFA's headquarters to Saudi Arabia. The officials who went to prison served an average of less than 2 years each. And the beautiful game, watched by 4 billion people, played by 265 million, is still run by the same structure that made all of this possible. FIFA was not corrupted by a few bad men. It was built in a way that made corruption the rational choice. That is the story the World Cup never tells.